Hello, ladies, gentlemen, and non-binary pals. Welcome to the RWBY Radio Podcast. We've had our little winter break. I hope you've enjoyed the holidays, but it's time to get back in the RWBY swing of things. And what an episode to kick us back in with. Of course, I cannot do this alone. My absolutely fantastic guest this week is the one and only PatchoDraws. Welcome to the podcast.
Hello, thanks for having me.
I was going to say, I can't think of many better people in the fandom I could have asked to join me for this one. We've got a lot to talk about.
Yeah, that was a doozy of an episode.
Right, so kicking straight into it, once again, the fantastic intro rolls again. I've got to ask the question. There was a lot of very momentous things happening in this episode. Did you expect any of them?
To be honest, I didn't expect any of them. Because what I'd sort of garnered from the previous episode, I was going into this one thinking, oh, we're probably going to have like a lot of slower stuff. There's going to be a little bit of investigations going on because Willow showed the little footage to Weiss. Mm-hmm. I did not expect the episode to basically open with Weiss bursting through being like, objection.
I was going to say, I just didn't see this coming. Weiss just to burst in like the queen she is and go, right, listen here.
It's like, hey, all right, I'm taking charge. I know what I'm doing. I'm going to get this rolling. And it was so good to see Jacques squirm like that. Oh, yeah. Like the entire time we've known him as being like, I'm Jacques, look at me, I'm in control. But, to see him squirm, Good stuff. Good stuff.
Good. So is the episode intros. The intro of the episode closes, and we get the opening. We have Maria and Pietro down in Mantle as the snow is starting to fall. As by the looks of it, they're trying to get as many people into his workshop to keep them warm as possible. As it becomes very quickly that weather system they had working in Mantle, that heating system, is extremely vital. Yeah.
The first thing that I thought when I saw that was, geez, I could use one of those in my city. I was just going to say, because like right now, today, we're sitting at like minus 18 Celsius. And I'm like, it's just a normal winter somehow. So I'm watching that episode. I'm like, why am I getting flashbacks to our minus 40 days?
We need it in real life right here.
Yeah. Send it over. I need it, please.
So, and then cuts to back to the conversation between the council members and Ironwood basically getting grilled. And as the two, I believe it's Councilman Slate and Councilwoman Camilla, as they're grilling Ironwood, and we have Jacques pulling off his best evil finger pose possible of I am plotting and scheming. We get one of his staff come in and inform him the heating's gone off, and it becomes rapidly clear that he knew nothing of this part of the plan.
It's like that kind of actually surprised me. Like I thought, because he'd been talking with Watts and everything, I thought that he knew everything that was going on. So I was surprised to see like, oh wow, Watts is literally just kind of going rogue against Jacques, which makes sense. He doesn't have to answer to that guy. It was just sort of odd to me because I was like, the entire time I thought, oh, Jacques now in on this. Everything he's doing is, for the Jacques reasons that he has. But then just seeing him get nervous, I was like, oh no, Watts.
Yeah, I think it really shows that, one, how good of a manipulator Watts is.
Absolutely.
Watts knew his plan straight from the start. And it's just something I noted, again on the podcast, actually, that when Watts reappears to Jacques, it's the first time we ever see Jacques' kind of cool, calculated persona completely slip away. Because he's stunned when Arthur walks back in. And we see it again here as he rapidly realizes things are out of his control. He quickly brushes off the questions of, I've got nothing to ask. And as we're going to see in a moment, he loses all control very quickly, and Watts has played him like a fiddle, so to speak.
Absolutely. I have to I just have to give so much credit to RWBY this volume just because of how much of a 180 I've done on my opinion of Watts. Because before, when he'd showed up in previous volumes, I was just like, oh, generic sort of mustachy twirly villain sort of guy. But this volume, he's just so much fun to watch. He knows exactly what he's doing. It's so interesting, so intricate, and I'm like, oh gosh, you never know what he's going to do next, and that's what's most exciting about him. And also just the fact that, you know, everyone always has this sort of surprised reaction to the things he's doing, which of course you would have, but it's so much more different than, say, like Watts were to show up at the Schnee Manor and Jacques would be like, oh, hey, how's it going, mustache man?
Yeah.
It's just incredible.
RWBY really, Tyrion to a lesser extent, because we've already seen Tyrion kind of fleshed out a bit more, but really Watts has been given his time to shine, hasn't he? Like, to take the center stage and run with it.
Yeah, like this is absolutely his volume.
So as we get Robin taking over the questioning, and she is extremely head on with Ironwood. She wants to know, and as Ironwood goes to defend himself, he says, I've got nothing to hide. I want to stop Atlas from becoming another beacon, another haven. Interesting note about this shot is that in the background we have both Penny and Winter, and when he says beacon, Penny looks down and looks really upset.
Yeah,
just a small detail, but
there's so many small details, and I actually missed that one the first time I watched the episode. I don't know how I did, but yeah, no, it's just poor Penny just needs a hug. She just needs all the hugs, every hug in the world.
I think most of the main cast do. Someone just go down, Penny, Team Junior, Team RWBY, give them a hug.
Yeah, hugs for all of those kids. And Oscar, let's give him a hug.
Yeah, give him a hug too.
Yeah.
Crow can get hugged by Clover. What? I don't know what happened there. And as we get Robin take up the questioning, she immediately goes, you all know my semblance, let's put it to the test, and basically puts Ironwood on the spot of, take my hand and prove your innocence. Of which we get this very almost Mexican standoff style stare through the room as each of the members are looking at each other.
I'm really curious. I know that they didn't do it in the episode, but I'm really curious what Ironwood would have done. Like, would he just sort of kept sitting there for 5 minutes as she waits for him to take her hand? It's just sort of like,
do you think he would have ignored it, or do you think he would have taken it and tried to spin the questions?
I think Ironwood, knowing how cautious he is and guarded he is, I think he would probably try and ignore it and not brush it off, but really do his best to try and defend himself until it just wouldn't go well for him, I don't think, because it would turn everyone more against him and everything. But I think he probably would not take her hand. He would do his best not to, at least. But
before he can make his decision, we suddenly get the far door to the room burst open, and the one and only Boy Schnee walks in, immediately saying, you've got the wrong man on trial, and I know exactly who's been framing Ironwood. Okay, as introductions go, I'm talking, this is better than Penny's reveal when she came back. This is better than the flipping Aesop's turning up. This is better than flipping Ruby's touchdown in the RWBY RWBY trailer from Volume 4. What an entrance!
It is full drama, full queen. She goes in there. The moment you started saying, I'm like, yeah, this is wise. And double doors. That's why you have a double door. Like, that's why you have double doors in a mansion. You don't do it to show off how fancy you are. You do it for the reveals. You do it so that
dramatic reveals,
yeah, you have to be dramatic to have double doors in your house.
And to be honest, who's more dramatic in Team RWBY than Weiss? Like, best pick.
Oh,
right?
No one at all. She's the drama queen, the ice queen.
And so Weiss comes across and immediately tells the room she knows exactly who's framed Ironwood and that Jacques is in on it, and plays the video from the security cameras, of which it's the recap of the end of the previous episode with Watts and Jacques talking. interesting note is the reaction from the council members of Arthur being alive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because Chad James guy, Slate, right?
Yeah, Councilman Slate.
Yeah, Councilman Slate. I just keep on calling him Chad James most of the time.
He's Chad James,
yeah. He's just Councilman James. Councilman Chad. Yeah, but he mentioned
Councilman Chad.
Just imagine, like,
sorry, I don't know why that's that funny.
Just imagine just Councilman Slate, but really buff.
Yeah, put the ginger beard on him. There we go.
And
sorry, you were saying.
This is on you. No, it's just interesting because, like, what he mentioned about, like, the Paladin project going awry or whatever, I'm just sort of like, ooh, well, now I got to know more about this. And hopefully we do learn more about this at some point in the volume in any other volume, yeah.
That's the bit that interested me, is the Paladin incident. And I'm curious to know what that means.
Mm-hmm.
Because the only thing I'm aware of in RWBY lore that is called a Paladin is the giant mechs that Atlas had in volume 2 and 3.
Yeah.
If I'm right in saying this, it's the Atlesian Paladin. It's in like the 290 or something.
Something like that. And I remembered that the one in volume 2 was a prototype. So it must be some sort of recent technology. So it actually does have me wondering if Watts had anything to do with the development of the Paladin, maybe.
Or from the episode where Pietro revealed how he built Penny, he did say each of the 5 people in that picture were asked by the general to come up with a new defense system.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe what Watts made was the Paladins.
Yeah.
But
and that I feel like that would make a lot of sense for him, because robots and technology are very much his shtick.
Yeah, his forte.
Mm-hmm. And especially really sort of intimidating ones that he can, manipulate with his technical know-how, with his hands on a bunch of paladins that Ironwood were to say commission. He'd be like, oh, now I can sort of do whatever I want, if he's been evil this whole time, maybe. Or if not, maybe he's just, making the paladins because he thinks big robots are cool.
Big robots are cool, let's be honest.
They are. Volume 6 proved that.
And so we get the kind of continuation of the conversation, Watts saying, basically almost, as we said earlier, playing Jacques of, oh, I'm upset as you are. James Iron would never recognize my genius. You're going to make his life hell, so I'm going to back you. And you instantly get the feeling that Jacques bought into this.
Mm-hmm.
And again, the reaction of the council leaders, of their kind of stunned faces, says it all. Like, Watts is not someone they were expecting to suddenly have a game piece in this.
Yeah. Well, they don't even know a whole lot about what's going on, but I feel like even with Ironwood, it's sort of, he would not expect it. And it makes, again, kudos to RWBY for Watts being such an interesting character. They just deepened him so much more with this. And I just love him.
Oh, they're doing such a great job, aren't
they? Mm-hmm.
So,
and the new coat.
Oh, yeah. And so we have basically the admission of guilt from both Jacques and Watts of what they're going to do, of giving the voters a digital push. And as we get this, we get Ironwood with a very dramatic slow rise from the table and dramatic walkover. As we get Robin's reaction of looking extremely angry when she hears of the voting rigging. And as this all goes through, we get the final line. I knew you were a great scientist, but I never knew you were such a good salesman. Which I have to admit, as villain lines go, that's pretty damn good.
That is a very good line. And it's so wild coming from like Jacques, who is a salesman. That's like, I feel like I would not like to receive that compliment from Jacques Cheny, because I do not like him one bit. But if you're an evil boy like Watts, and that's a pretty high compliment. Yeah. Being called a good salesman by someone who's purportedly a good salesman.
And so instantly we see Jacques is sweating bullets here. He's on the back foot, and hilarious fantastic choice of wording from the writers of the. He goes, I can explain this. This isn't real. Ironic in the fact that what he conspired with Watts to do was to frame someone with fake footage.
I do love that little connection there, because that's the first thing that came to mind was well, that's very familiar.
And so we get Jacques going to run from the room. In one of, I don't know why, but there's a gif of him leaving the room like on repeat, and it's just really funny the like weird gangly way he turns to run. Like it's almost like like a 1920s cartoon.
Like the rubber hose animation.
Yeah. And
it is funny.
We hear this distinctive noise as he goes to the double doors to leave, and without even having to touch a weapon, Weiss has summoned her knight behind the doors to block Jacques from running, and we get him turn to her and almost whine her name in defeat. Weiss, you'd already stolen the scene. You'd already run away with the flipping Oscar for this scene. No, you had to stay and do a lap of victory. You had to do an encore. As Jacques turns around, pulls out her scroll, Jacques Cheney, you're under arrest.
Can I do that?
That little bit afterward, I just heard turn of, can I do that? Is that allowed?
That's like, it was just the icing on the cake to the most perfect Weiss-Cheney everything ever to ever happen. Like, that's just, you come into the room, you burst open the double doors, you pull a Phoenix right, you block off your shitty dad from running away like the weirdo creep bad person that he is, and then you arrest him, and you are the most badass person on Remnant in that moment. And then, can I do that?
Just such an adorably dorky moment of, am I allowed to do that?
Is this allowed? I gotta say, I love that so much about so much of RWBY is there's so many incredible moments, and they managed to put in those tiny moments of like dorky, awkward relatability, and it's so good because they're still like 18, 19 or something. They're still kind of dorky kids almost. It's very relatable, and it really endears us to them as characters.
It's what makes them so real and so lovable.
Absolutely, yeah.
I was gonna say, I know one of the things, especially for the main full cast, Cara Eberly, who plays Weiss, okay, she is top notch at all times. Very rarely since Volume 1 has she been bad or anywhere near that. But this scene, she went a notch above, and she freaking nailed it.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely ran this scene perfectly.
Like, I feel like this has just been leading to this for her. Like, she's like, okay, Volume 7, this is going to be my pivotal scene. Gotta nail it. She nailed it, like 300% out of the park. Cara, you are a goddess.
It's interesting because for Blake and Yang, very much the end of last volume was kind of their whole arc, their side arc coming to an end there, of defeating a demon from their past and moving forward. And you get the feeling this is Weiss's moment. This is her defeating her abuser. A different type of abuser, but this is the moment where she gets her freedom. This life is mine, so to speak.
And I remember seeing, I think it was either on Twitter or Tumblr or somewhere, but the symbolism of having her use the Armageddon armor to block her father from escaping is like a direct sort of correlation with her first trailer, where he forced her to fight the Armageddonists,
so she could prove
and she defeated it.
Yeah.
And now she's using it to stop him and sort of reclaim that in a way.
There's another, really glad you brought that up, because there's another thing I saw off that one. I think it was literally someone in the comments actually of that one, that it's heavily theorized from how her literal White Knight looks compared to Nicholas Snee's armor, because in this scene we get a picture of him, and the arms look very alike. Isn't it ironic that, as you said, the thing Weiss was forced to fight by her father to prove her worth, to prove that she could go off and do this, is not only, as you said, the thing that she uses to stop him, to defeat him, but it's also from the original. It is potentially the legacy, the true legacy of the Schnee name. She has reclaimed her name.
Yeah, if that's like, because I really do like that theory. I think I remember seeing that as well somewhere. And if that's true, the layered symbolism, so good.
Also just gonna say, Nicholas Schnee is a handsome looking man. I'm just saying.
I was gonna say, like, he's very handsome. He's got the big anime boy eyes, but he kind of reminds me, whenever I look at him, he reminds me of Reinhardt from Overwatch a little bit.
Like the Reinhardt, mate, I'm liking this moment.
And it's funny because, like, the first time I saw him, the picture of Nicholas Schnee, like, my first reaction wasn't, oh, hey, that's Nicholas Schnee. I just sort of paused and I was like, Reinhardt? What are you doing here? Like, that was where my brain first went. Hey, maybe Nicholas Schnee used a pickaxe, didn't he? Hey,
you can use one of Reinhardt's weapons is an axe, I think, with one skin. He can have a pickaxe one. It will do.
Yeah. We'll send a letter to Blizzard. We'll be like, give him a pickaxe skin, it'll all come full circle.
Hey, we've had the Smite RWBY crossover. Can we have the Overwatch RWBY crossover now, please?
Yeah. Ooh, hell yeah. Give Tracer a red cape and spiky dark red hair. There we go. There's our crossover.
I was gonna say, let's do this. Let's get RWBY and everything. Anyway, moving back to where we were at.
Right.
We cut back to everyone's favorite villain of this volume so far. We get Arthur watching as the snow comes down and seeing as shops are starting to be raided, especially dust shops for heat crystals, and there's basically a bonfire in the middle of town is being built out of chairs and dust crystals, and the people on Mantle are getting angrier and angrier. We get a very smug-looking Watts as Tyrion appears behind him. And I had to admit, at this moment, I thought, what's the next bit of their plan? Because we don't see them again for the rest of the episode.
Yeah. Like, I saw Tyrion coming in, and my initial reaction was, oh, is Tyrion going to go out and just start killing a bunch of these people to cause more chaos?
Because that would cause so much panic, wouldn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Like, suddenly you're freezing, and now there's a mad serial killer on the loose. Like, you're gonna freak out a little bit.
Oh yeah.
But okay. I have to think that they've got something
plan,
else.
Surely.
Yeah, they're definitely up to something else. They're not just gonna be like, hey, panic created. Let's go home. Let's get a bite to eat.
And also with how fanatical Tyrion is and how smart Arthur is, unlike Cinder, you doubt they're going to change the plan. They're going to follow along with what Salem's ordered, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, especially even because in Volume 5, when Cinder was talking to Raven, she was altering the plan, and Watts was like, what are you doing? Stop that.
So this is something I will bring up at the end of the podcast. We're going to have to move on, but we'll bring up at the end of the podcast is what we think their plans are after this point, because that's an interesting point to have. But
definitely.
So we cut back to the room. We've now got all of Team RWBY have joined Weiss, and we basically get everyone interrogating a very scared-looking Sharks as the news of how dangerous the situation is down in Mantle. And we get Ironwood basically spelling out everything of how he knows what's happened and where, and how they framed Penny. And we do get this fantastic moment of Ironwood looming over Sharks and making him look so small.
I love that because I don't know. It's just a good shot that shows like, yeah, James he's still a little scared of quite a few things right now, but he knows how to intimidate who he wants to intimidate. He's a big boy.
And we get Councilman Chad.
I'm so glad it's stuck.
We're gonna turn this into a RWBY thing now. This is gonna end up that his name is Chad Slate.
Yeah.
Councilman Chad Slate.
Ruby, can you hear us? It's happening.
Come on. The clip-on ties got made canon. Let's make this canon too.
Please.
And we get Jacques to the line. I only intended to win the election. It had nothing to do. And before he can carry on, we see behind him, Robin has lost it. This is it. Nope, not having it. And she full-on launches a chair at the window, shocking everyone. Of which we get her rebuttal of only. And in this pause, we get the question asked: what can Watts now do with his access codes? And we get Ironwood admitting he can do anything. Okay, that's terrifying.
Yeah, as far as just thoughts of that, like that line alone, I'm like, he can do anything. He's already proving that he can do quite a bit with what he has. And now he's making everyone freeze. Yeah, he's basically got all the power now, and it's terrifying to think. Just given how much he's already done. Like, what more? What are you gonna do, Arthur?
As this goes on, and they're seeing that the situation is getting even worse in Mantle, and Jacques desperately trying to protest his innocence, of which Winter, you bursting in, of you are going to shut your mouth.
Yes.
How
Fave Winter moment ever. I love her so much.
How long had she been waiting to say that?
Oh, she's been waiting, like, probably since she was a kid or something, to talk back to her dad.
And we get Jacques reluctantly admitting that they've been locked out the system. And they rapidly find out that Watts is locking them out of everything. However, this bit we instantly get Ironwood with his priorities. Ironwood instantly seeing if Watts has found out about the Amity project. And this moment was instantly where I thought Ironwood was going to go off the deep end and suddenly be, right, we're only going to protect Atlas. We're not going to help Mantle at all. We're going to defend the project.
Yeah. It almost really did seem like he was going to take that turn, because like the things that he would in a moment just start saying to like the members of Team RWBY and Junior and Oscar and everything, I'm thinking like, oh no, this is where Ironwood's going to lose it. This is where he's going to snap and focus on, the things inside his head, what he's keeping secrets and everything. But I'm glad that the scene plays out the way it does, because I don't want James to be a bad guy.
From this is Ironwood's kind of almost talking to himself, and Team RWBY are kind of conversing with him. We get Robin interrupt with, "Hi, I'm still here," and her asking the question, how does a disappeared serial killer, presumed dead, and a disgraced scientist, also presumed dead, find each other? And how are they losing Mantle? And who is this other they? Why would they target you? And why are they working so hard to hide the communications tower from them? Instantly, you can see in the background of the shot, Weiss, Blake, Yang, all of them instantly eyes shoot up at the communications tower bit. Two things. It proves that, one, evidently Blake and Yang told Weiss and RWBY the rest of what had happened.
Yeah.
And second of all, they were so hoping Robin wasn't going to sell them out. Granted, she doesn't exactly say it was them, but the reactions of the three of them of
it's just sort of like, oh, what did we heck up? Are we gonna get in shit now?
And we get Ironwood ask, and then it cuts away, and we suddenly get the clip that was shared in the Forest Christmas reveal.
Oh yeah, the Christmas special.
The Christmas recap. RIP Forest, forever in our memories.
RIP RWBY.
We miss RWBY. Of which the clip already shown, so we get some Atlas robots try to break up the riot, which immediately get turned into trash. Like, with what looks like a wrench and a piece of pipe. Like, who makes these robots? Are they made out of paper?
It kind of reminds me of, sorry to go off on a little thingamajig with my brain, but it reminds me of the battle droids in Star Wars.
Oh my god, yes. Like they fall apart like paper.
Everyone's always like, oh, they're deadly battle droids. They're gonna destroy things, and everyone's like, no, you just punch one and it's down. you can tap it and it'll fall apart. These things are nothing. And that's just the Atletian Knights too. They're probably made of aluminum or something. Whatever ruby aluminum is.
Rubilum. Rubilum? Did I just say that? Oh my god. Anyway, and so we cut to what, until the end of this episode, was my favorite ever RWBY shot for just like the prettiness and technical skill of it. We get this herd of, I'm not sure what they're called. They look like Goliaths, but they're woolly mammoths. Megaliaths? Mammaliaths? I don't know. Whatever you want to call them.
I feel like Megaliaths would work, but I also just want to call them fluffy Goliaths.
Fluffy Goliaths. So we get a herd of fluffy Goliaths, and they're making some pace towards the wall. And this shot of, you got the snow slowly falling down, you've got the big breach in the wall, you've got the city far behind it. It is so detailed. Like, I don't need to throw up a volume 1 screenshot for you to know how much this has changed, but...
Oh, absolutely. I keep on like telling myself, like, holy crap, this volume is the most beautiful I think RWBY has looked ever. Definitely. And that shot is just like a testament to how much work they've put into making this look so incredible and so detailed. And
so as we get the Atlas forces start their defense, it immediately starts a stampede, and suddenly we've got the Saber Grim, and we've got the fluffy Goliaths charging on the breach in the wall. And quickly they're getting overrun, and the city's going into panic. And this information is something that instantly gets up to Atlas, and they need to do something. But before they can do that, we get my favorite Robin moment. And I'm going to explain this. So we get Robin turning to Ironwood, and she's been grilling Ironwood all night, and rightly so. She wants to know the truth. The main thing we know of Robin from her interactions is she's someone who's especially wanted the truth. It's probably what made her semblance what her semblance is.
Probably, yeah.
And she has all right to grill Ironwood and put him in a corner with force. However, she doesn't. In fact, she turns this of, you're not trying to protect Atlas from me or anyone. I get the feeling you're trying to protect all of us from something else. Okay, for one, this is, granted, think about what Robin knows at this point. She only knows bits and pieces. That is fantastic deductive reasoning.
Oh, absolutely.
Second of all,
it's a testament to how smart she is.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. And how smart she is. And on how smart she is, it shows how smart she's been in these last 2 episodes. She got called into this room by Jacques. Jacques wanted to hit her here basically so he could dunk on Ironwood. So he could have his own personal attack dog, or attack Robin in this case.
Yeah.
And she had to go into that room knowing that's what Jacques had her there for. Jacques, whatever.
Yeah.
And so she went there knowing it was probably her only chance to get her voice heard by the council, but she also knew she couldn't fall into Jacques' trap, because she knew if she got rid of Ironwood, Jacques has full control. And granted, she gets lucky with the fact Weiss breaks in at that point, but she chooses in the moment not to be Ironwood's enemy, but to basically put out the olive branch, what Ironwood himself wasn't willing to do.
Yeah, I think that's some great initiative on her part, because especially like we've all been seeing sort of Robin not as really an antagonist, but more like just a roadblock to what Ironwood and sort of as a result our protagonists are doing for the volume. And this entire time I'm just sort of thinking to myself, just watching this volume, I'm like, just trust Robin, just, ally with her, trust in her, be her friend. And it's so great to see her finally take the initiative and just say, okay, I see that something's going on. I'm going to put some trust in you, because from what I can see, you're the person that I should be trusting right now. It's up to you now. And it was really strange because in the, like 2 episodes ago, she was very unwilling to trust Blake and Yang. Like,
I was going to say, do you think it's that Blake and Yang, there was, we're trusting you, so you trust us? Do you think that kind of really drummed into her head?
I think so, yeah. Yeah, I think that could very well be sort of the case here, because now she's sort of seeing it all together. She's like, maybe I can trust you, maybe I should. And these two kids, Fisticuffs and Bobcat here, are just, they made me realize, let's all work together. Something else is happening. And I think, yeah, that they definitely probably had some sort of influence on Robin deciding to trust James, for sure.
But before Ironwood can act on this, he gets Oscar and Clover burst into the room saying, Mantle's under attack, the Air Force can't do anything because the Grimm are in the city and they can't start bombing because they'll take out civilians. Okay, and before Ironwood can go off, I want to point out in the background, you get Penny again look distraught and start rubbing her arm. She knows she should be down there protecting them, and she's still blaming herself that she's not there.
Yeah, I think there's also sorry.
I was just going to say, just leaving that angsty moment for you all to enjoy right there.
Yeah, I think a big part of that is also maybe that's just showing how Mantle has reacted to her. Maybe she's partially she still blames herself, but also is scared to go down there where the people don't want her. And again, give that girl a hug. Yeah.
And so as we get Ironwood. This is the bit where Ironwood almost loses it, and I get the feeling this was literally the knife point. And we get Robin saying, you need to use the fleet to evacuate Mantle, and Ironwood basically admits, I cannot evacuate, otherwise I leave Atlas at risk. And although he doesn't know it, we know Salem has an army of flying Grimm, and they've got to be somewhere near.
Oh, yeah.
And we get this moment of I try to keep the kingdom safe, and basically him admitting I've failed. And we get Oscar come over, and he said, you asked for my advice, and rather rudely said I wanted Ozpin's advice. And we get, I'm probably going to say my favourite Oscar moment, of him saying, Ozpin would have told you to keep your secrets, but you have a plan. You cannot give up on that plan. Maybe it's time to expand your reason of trust. Maybe it's time to tell the truth.
I love how much development Oscar's been getting this volume, because I've always loved him. And I agree, that's probably, I think, my favorite moment that he's had so far, because it shows not only how far he's become, or how far he's come from when they first picked up little farm boy Oscar, but also just how much he's reflected on the things Ozpin has done, the things that he probably remembers too, all the secrets that he might have kept, that now Oscar is probably figuring out and everything. And it goes to show, I think, just how different Oscar is from Ozpin.
And as we get RWBY come over as well to kind of reassure him, we get Ironwood go right. And I'd like to point out the people he names in order are Miss Hill. He calls to Robin, then the two council people, and says, you need to know the truth. As Winter arranges for a transport, and he tells Oscar to head back to the academy, of which we get the fantastic moment from RWBY, it's time to do our jobs. All of us, as they look at Penny, and Penny goes with them, and you suddenly get him stream out the room.
Love that for Penny.
We suddenly pay a lot of attention to one of the waiting staff outside. She doesn't seem to have any sort of... She was the person who was waiting on the table last episode, but doesn't seem to have anything. And then we suddenly have a close-up, and she smiles. And that's all we get for now. But as the party's evacuated and the crew marches to go, we get RWBY and Oscar come over and basically try to talk over each other at the same time. They both conclude, we need to tell Ironwood the truth. And Oscar volunteers to go do it, as RWBY needs to go save Mantle. And as they go, I'd like to point out Ruby's finger guns. She's exactly like her sister.
I love the finger guns, mostly because I do them in real life all the time. I'm just finger guns all over the place. So I don't know.
Finger guns.
It's a good time.
Of which we once again get Marrow's kids. I hate kids.
Don't worry, Marrow. We love them. You don't have to.
And so we suddenly get them all on an airship flying in of the Aesops, Crow and Team RWBY and Team Junior. We get Clover given the orders of we're prioritizing saving the citizens over killing Grimm, which, for one, you wouldn't expect from Atlas. You'd expect Atlas to be the very blunt military approach, and it's kind of this... You get the feeling maybe it's a change of strategy from Ironwood and Co.
Mm-hmm.
And we get a one nod, apart from Ren, who looks away and looks angry. And we get Nora look at him. She takes his hand and he slowly squeezes it back, and they share a look for a moment.
Yeah, I think they're going to be all right.
Okay, my little heart melted for a bit here. Yeah. It was adorable. Only for it to pan across to Yang looking at it. And she goes to turn and Blake's looking at her at the same moment.
Buzz.
Okay. So
I love those parallels.
Once again, it's a parallel, isn't it? Renora and Bumblebee.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I think they're doing it like intentionally at this point, just to make sure that it's drilled in.
That it's, hey, this is where Renora's at, and it's Bumblebee. We're slowly building to that.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to ask a question. Why are Remnant is the most romantic places on airships? This needs to be addressed.
Because that's the exact thing that I thought. Like, okay, Volume 4, Volume 6, now Volume 7. It's like, is that just where all their dates are going to happen? Like, at some point 5 years down the line, hey, Ren, want to go on a date? Sure, I'll get the airship ready.
Quick, let's have a moonlit ride in an airship. That sounds pretty good, actually.
It could be kind of romantic, actually. Yeah, like if the night sky is pretty enough, and I don't know, maybe you brought some like sparkling cider and some I don't know, nice little dainties. It could be a nice little romantic getaway in the sky.
So we then cut back to Robin with the council people, and they're saying, could he be lying about this? No, he couldn't. Ironwood would never lie. And we get Robin look at the door, and it cuts to Ironwood on the other side as Oscar's told him the truth. And his whole world has been broken.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he isn't angry, he isn't upset, he's just broken. Like, the will is almost gone from him.
Yeah, that look shook me for when I saw it for the first time. I was like, oh, he is gone for a moment.
And we get Oscar explaining, this is why we didn't tell you, this we didn't want you making any sacrifices. And he asks Ironwood, what are you going to do now? And Ironwood says, all we can do for the moment is what we can to save Mantle. That's what's in front of us.
Right, I do like that. Like, I think that's indicative of his turning point now. Because I'm like, again, before I said I don't want James to be a villain. I think he's fine. I think he's now realizing what is the right thing to do. And I'm like, should have done that before, but better late than never.
So we then get Oscar say, Ozpin would have been proud of you. A city in the sky is held to a higher standard. That's what this was all about. And we get Ironwood almost kind of stunned. And he says, you say that like you were there, and then gets cut off by his scroll notifying him. Okay, we talked last week on the podcast, 2 weeks ago, with Xiaowang and Senny. We talked about, they are amazing. We talked about which Xiaowang has now dubbed it Ozmosis, which fantastic clip, you guys. That was I'm so glad you clipped it.
Watch it. It's
so
comedy.
The Ozmosis. I still can't say why I'm laughing.
Oh, now you've got me laughing.
Right, I'm not going to forget what we're talking about this time. I did that last week. You're not getting me twice. Not this time, you two. Anyway, the Ozmosis it was kind of like a half thing I was talking about last week. is this proof it's actually happening? Because this is Ironwood, the person who, out of everyone, aside from maybe Crow, knew Ozpin the best. And he's basically kind of putting two and two together that this is more Ozpin speaking than Oscar. So is it actually happening?
I actually kind of think and worry that it is. Like, I remember for the longest time, I thought that, Ozpin taking over was going to be this much more visible and probably painful thing too. Just like he's fully just sort of inserting himself into Oscar's body in that sort of way that he was doing through volumes 5 and 6. But now it's just sort of happening in just little moments, and I'm worried, like, oh, has it already begun? Did it begin long before we even knew? And someone pointed out on Twitter that, like, Oscar remembered the tea set that he gave to Lionheart and Haven, and I was like, did it start from the moment Ozpin reincarnated in Oscar? And I'm getting word from a boy.
And so we get Ironwood ask Oscar, no surprises, please. I can't take another one. Of which I think that's like the bit of Ironwood kind of going, if you know Ozpin's taking over, could you tell me? Like, and so we cut back to the gang in the airship, of which this terrifying looking pterodactyl Grim has grappled them.
Mini Kevin.
I'm going to put it on screen now. I've completely forgotten. Miles Luna tweeted out what him and Kiersey had called the Grim. I think it was like the Tixiel or something. It had loads of X's and Y's and L's in it. I'm not going to try and pronounce it. And they try to shake it. And as they spin the ship, it's grappling all over. We get Jean nearly throwing up from his motion sickness again.
Planet Boy.
We get it swing round and it slash through the side of the airship, nearly hitting Yang and Blake. Of which I do love. We get Elm and Weiss using their semblances to keep everyone in place so they don't fall over.
Nice little details there. Love that.
And as this one Grim hangs off the side, another pterodactyl Grim comes flying in and slices the wing. And as Mara helpfully points out, they're not going to stay airborne much longer. And we get Clover say, right, you know your teams. He flicks his lucky Clover badge. Okay, this is one of the most badass moments in RWBY. He goes to the door, bangs it, the Grim is right outside, goes to scream at him, and the engine breaks away and smashes the Grim off the side. Holy shit, this is badass.
I don't know why I didn't expect that to happen. Like, the moment he opened the door and the Grim was there, I expected, oh no, this is where Clover's gonna get Roman Torchwicked. But he's Clover, he's lucky. And it turned from like dread to, heck yes, I love you, Clover. Please, marry Crow.
Clover doesn't even flinch, he doesn't even look away. He's just got the smuggest smile ever.
He's like, I know it's behind me. I know.
And so we get everyone leave the airship. We get Jean, Link's Breath of the Wild parachuting out. We get Ren doing a little jump. We get Weiss doing a flipping spin jump out the airship. She can't leave normally. Oh no, she's got to do a nice little spin, and it's amazing.
She has to be extra.
And as we get them going, everyone's leaving. We get literally the Predator meme of Arnold Schwarzenegger, the two guys with the massive biceps, doing the arm hug with Elm and Clover, and I literally lost my mind when this happened.
I never made that connection.
You know the one, right? Like,
yeah, oh yeah, Predator's one of my favorite movies.
It's just the moment of, how the damn hell are you? There's no need for it.
Their muscles are just bulging. It's like, Jesus.
Of which, I do love how Elm just has to swing off the wing to get out the airship. She's that muscly. She's that strong.
I feel like she probably would have broken it had it not already been broken.
And so we get Harriet smash out the windscreen and her and Ruby run out the ship. Of which Clover has stayed behind because guess who his teammate is? It's Crow. And he has to wait and do a flipping little salute and literally free fall out the back like here in the world, of which Crow rightly says, show off.
That's
what a
awesome.
scene! That was fantastic. I don't care that we didn't get much real action this episode. That was fantastic.
It's like the landing strategies all over again, but this time it's the jumping out strategies, and they're also cool. The Aesops are the coolest.
And so we suddenly cut to back to the mansion as Jacques is being led away, and we get Willow looking on as she's finally got rid of the nightmare from her life. She looks back, and we get this fantastic long shot of the grand staircase in the Schnee Manor, and Whitley is sitting in the middle of it, and he looks so small and alone, because the only person who's, I wouldn't say so much as shown his affection, but the person he's fawned after for years to try and be like, to try and please, is suddenly gone. And we suddenly get him sprint up the stairs to hide as Willow looks on. Why have I got the feeling that Whitley doing something drastic is gonna happen soon?
No, I think you're totally right. Like, I'm so scared that he's gonna make some sort of bad decision, because I feel for that boy. But don't do anything rash, Whitley, please.
Please don't do anything dumb.
Please, so, you can be a good boy.
As we get Jacques being led away, protesting and pleading, that black-haired waitress from earlier suddenly appears, and she just leaves the manor happily skipping down. And we get her make her way to what I'm guessing is a hotel. And we get her enter, and what I said about prettiest shot ever in RWBY is immediately replaced by this one, as we get her look out over this great kind of giant glass window Atlas, of which it looks so damn pretty.
It does. That shot that's something you got to use as like a wallpaper for a computer. It's gorgeous.
And then suddenly a light appears on, and none other than Cinder is there. She asks, "Have you found what we've been looking for?" And in one of the coolest effects ever put in RWBY, the waitress is suddenly engulfed in what almost looks like a pink tech, like digital, like programming glitch, as it kind of wipes over her. And everyone's small mute psychopath is there. None other than Neapolitan.
I love her so much.
What an intro. And we get her overreact with a little bit of pondering. She smiles, flicks her hat, and with that, it's the end of the episode.
What an ending.
What an ending.
I have to...
Oh, sorry.
I was just going to say, I have to say, if this episode did anything perfectly, it's just character entrances. Like, first, Weiss's double door slam. You've got the wrong man. And then Neo's just, like you were saying, just the bright light of her semblance turning her back into Neo against that big glass window. And the knowledge of, oh, hey, it's been 9 episodes since we've seen them. Then the surprise of, yeah, they've been here all along. Just two incredible moments.
I don't think anyone was expecting to come back this early. Like, I had it down as a post-credit scene for the end of the volume, but I think it's perfect. It's none of us were expecting it. They weren't in the intro, so we weren't expecting them to show up, and here they are. They're plotting, they're scheming, and the one thing I want to go straight into is, what are they looking for? What has Neo found?
Like, I want to think that what they've been looking for is RWBY. Sort of just because that was sort of Cinder's main goal was, oh, I'm gonna have you kill RWBY, so I get my revenge in a way, but in a way that against what Salem wants. And at the mansion, RWBY was there, so I'm thinking that's probably who she was looking out for, or at least looking out for Weiss if she went back to the Schnee Manor, and knowing that RWBY would probably not be far behind.
Well, the reason I bring this up is because, if I can just off the top of my head remember, I seem to recall something along the lines of when they have their chat in the vault of Cinder basically telling Neo what the situation is. I seem to recall her saying something along the lines of, she has to recover the relic.
I do remember that because that would get her back in Salem's good graces, I think.
So there's a few things that you can. The biggest one is what you said, is that they've been looking for Ruby.
Mm-hmm.
However, I get the feeling that if she'd been on the house staff, it would have probably been something a lot easier to find Ruby.
Probably, yeah.
Though I would say that's still the most likely. You've then got the other shouts of you've got the Amity Arena projects, but the question is how will they know about it? You've got the Relic of Creation, and you've got the Maiden. But again, my question is, how would they know about those? The one I've got, most in particularly, because when they barge open the door, what has Oscar got on his hip?
Oh, right.
He has the relic, of knowledge. The relic Cinder lost.
Oh,
well, and shit. What is the one thing they could easily draw Ruby out with? The relic. They take the relic and Ruby's going to go straight for it. They have their bait.
You are actually blowing my mind right now because I didn't even realize that. I'm like, oh God, is that what they're going to do?
Here's the thing, right? Ruby, Weiss, Blake, Yang, Jean, Nora, Ren, Aesop's are all now in Mantle. This fight is going to be a big one. Mm-hmm. Who is left to protect Oscar? Because he can't fight a Maiden and Neo on his own. Ironwood? Winter? I think Cinder and Neo are about to make their move, and they're going to try and either take out Oscar or kidnap him and take the relic.
Jeez.
Because here's the thing. Oscar's suddenly kidnapped, and they've got the relic. Ruby and probably the rest of the team are all going to go charging in, and Neo, with Cinder slightly helping from the backgrounds, as she said she cannot directly kill Ruby, they have their chance of revenge.
It all comes together. Jeez.
I'm scared.
And in a way, going further with that, in a way, that could also lead, say, hypothetically, it all goes wrong, then that could lead them to bringing Ozpin straight to Salem. Along with the relic, of course, and also getting their revenge. Oh, God, this is a genius plan if that's the case. Oh, no, my boy.
And meanwhile, and that brings us on the other thing I wanted to talk about. We've still got Tyrion and Watts. What is the next part of their plan?
The bad boys.
Bad boys. Oh, what you gonna do? Sorry, before we get copyright striked.
That didn't happen.
Put the question to you, Patcho. What do you think the next part of their plan is?
If I'm being honest, I really haven't thought a whole lot about it. I mean, I would really more so just think that at this point, they're going to probably just sort of keep this chaos sort of ensuing, and Tyrion maybe might be going around, Mantle, taking out, key things or helping with the destruction or anything just to cause more and more panic, because that's sort of what they're going for. I even might worry that he might even just sort of, once Ruby and the Aesops and Junior get down there, he might start going after them and trying to pick them off one by one maybe, or something. I think that right now Watts and Tyrion are all about just causing havoc and just making things awful for Mantle.
That's the bit that terrifies me. I think you're completely right on that one.
And Watts seems to enjoy that chaos.
Oh yeah, he's living for that chaos. He knows exactly what he's playing with.
Yeah, he eats chaos for breakfast.
And as we said earlier, that he's not one to deny Salem's plans, right? He's smart. He wants to go along with it, especially when Tyrion's there. Tyrion's going to follow anything Salem says.
Oh, absolutely.
Here's the big question I've got. Is the next part of their plan simply to maybe not be as vocal, but still keep things going along at a nice boil, so to speak, so that Salem can show up with her army and destroy everything?
I think you're entirely right. Oh, there's an or.
Or Because this depends on where you see the fall. Because Fall of Atlas is coming, surely. That's the whole thing.
Oh yeah, big Atlas fall down.
I'm still putting my money on Ironwood Death. He stands his ground at the Academy to hold off Salem. I still hold that's how he's going out.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay. So depending on where you see the fall of Atlas, if you see it, some people saying the end of this volume, some saying the next, some saying it's in 2 volumes' time, depending on how you see the time frame that's working. I see it as the end of next volume.
I see it. I can see it being the end of next volume, but I could also kind of see it happening at the end of this volume, especially if Neo and Cinder are involved, because they're going after the relic of. Well, they're not going after the relic, but hey, maybe somehow they get involved with the relic of creation, which is holding up Atlas. So I don't know. That was the thought. That was the thought that's crossed my mind. Is if it does fall this volume, it'll probably involve them. I just don't think that it would happen at the end of volume 9. I think that's a little far.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely either this volume or next volume, leaning more towards 8.
So here's my thing: if it is next volume or the volume after, I get the feeling in the end of this volume, there's probably going to be a sacrifice. I get the feeling Ruby's eye might be going. I get the feeling Oscar being kidnapped is quite likely. I could see someone else becoming the new Maiden, be it Winter, Nora, whoever. I get the feeling, though, overall, they're going to win. This is going to be a moment of, hey, look, yes, we all teamed up together and we won. Huzzah. Bravo, go us. Which means the next volume is them going to have the shit kicked out of them. Excuse my language. To get that set up, surely Tyrion and Watts are going to have to cause a little bit more madness.
Yeah.
And the one thing I've had in my head, this kind of got a little derailed when they said how the Staff of Creation worked. And instantly the way we see Atlas crashing is someone taking the Staff of Creation and wishing something else, right?
Yeah.
The theory I had before that was that the way they bring Atlas down is by crashing a certain stadium into it.
Oof.
Here's the thing. Ironwood's plan is to tell the world, right?
Yeah.
How terrifying would it be for the world if suddenly halfway through next season, they've done it, they've launched into the sky, here, we're going to say it, Ironwood gets the bit about Salem, the world's just learned, and before he can go into the bit about Atlas is going to help everyone and we're going to unite together, Watts controls everything and he drops the stadium out of the sky. It crashes, boom, it might take out Atlas, who knows. But most importantly, communication is once again gone, and all the world has just learned is there's a crazy witch trying to kill them. Chaos everywhere.
Yeah, that would be a lot to take. Like, especially without that second half of now we're gonna help you. Just that would cause some chaos.
I just see no way the Amity Arena stays in the air. No way. I just don't see it in my head. Like,
yeah.
But who knows? We've got a lot left.
Yeah, it's wild because I was thinking back to Volume 6 last year, and I was like, what was happening at this time? And I was like, oh, they were just starting to plan the heist. That was a full 4 episodes.
Yeah, they were planning the heist. Oscar made casserole. Crow got drunk. What are we doing this time? We're trying to save an entire city. Jacques has nearly killed everyone. We've got 4 terrorists to play. And there's an army of flying Grim on the way.
It's like, yeah, there's a room for quite a bit to happen still. In 4 episodes, anything can happen.
Oh yeah, anything can happen. So it's going to be interesting to see where this goes.
Absolutely. Like I'm getting more and more hyped about this Saturday. Just the more I think about it, because again, it's anyone's game at this point now with so many different parties involved and Watts' plan already so far in effect.
Oh, it's gonna be so good.
It's gonna be chaos, and I'm for once here for the chaos.
Ooh. Anyway, before we get onto any more wild speculations, I think this is where we need to end the podcast for this week. It's been great to be back. It has been fantastic to be behind the microphone, but I've got to say thank you so much to our wonderful guest this week, ladies, gentlemen, non-binary pals. Please, for the wonderful, amazing PatchoDraws.
Thank you for having me. This is a really fun time. This is good.
I'm glad you enjoyed yourself. So, as always, being my wonderful guest this week, where can we find your amazing content everywhere online? Please give us a quick run through where we can find the amazing PatchoDraws.
Sure. Well, I'm pretty much all over the place. You can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and Tumblr under PatchoDraws, as well as on Archive of Our Own, because I write fan fiction sometimes, because who doesn't sometimes? But that one is Patcho418. Everywhere else, you can find me as PatchoDraws, and you'll know it's me because my profile picture is probably bees.
Hey. Good thing to have as your profile picture. Of course, links will be on the screen. I'd like to suggest, if you're also a Legend of Korra fan, some of your fanfics on Legend of Korra are very good. Just gonna leave that little tip for people.
I love that show.
What a show. Good. Anyway, going back to what we were on about. Before we finish and conclude, though, I always ask my guest 2 things you'd like to see from the final few episodes of this volume of RWBY. And as always, 1 shipping thing and 1 normal thing. What are the things you'd like to see?
Well, for the shipping thing, I've already been thinking a whole lot, and I would really like to see. It's also kind of a normal thing, but I'll put it under this category. I would like to see the conclusion to sort of Ren's arc this volume, because it's been so interesting seeing him struggle with his feeling of responsibility and what he wants to do and how that's affected his relationship with Nora. And I really want to see him sort of show the feelings that he has for Nora, because last time it was sort of Nora who initiated.
Yeah.
And I really want to see him sort of, realize what it is that he wants, make the right decisions. And I want him to initiate the next big Renora moment, just to show that he feels the same way and just as strongly.
Do you think we'll have a mid-fight confession of love? I'm talking Pirates of the Caribbean freestyle. Do you think that might be coming?
For Ren, I don't think so. I feel like he'd probably just be so focused on the fight, and then after be like, "Whew, okay, right, we're done fighting. Hey, by the way, Nora." I've always imagined the mid-fight confession to be
Blake and Yang.
Oh yeah. That's definitely their vibe. They'd ask Weiss to marry them in the middle of the fight, and Weiss would be, "Are you two kidding me right now?"
That is the exact response.
She'd do it, but she'd have a fit about it first.
Exactly. So, with all that, let's hope we see that, because I am desperate to see some more Nora content.
Oh, big same.
So anyway, ladies, gentlemen, and non-binary pals, thank you so much for tuning in on the RWBY Radio Podcast. Please remember, always tag your spoilers, be RWBY, not Salem, and I hope every single one of you has an absolutely fantastic day. Goodbye.
Bye, everyone.